There we go. So this is a photo over our Tullabung tin project. This is the sun setting. You can see the light off the water in the open pit. So it's a big historic tin mine there. And we're looking at the underlying resource that underneath these old tin workings. It's a large scale deposit and it's matched with modern technology perfectly. We're very lucky and fortunate to have a particular deposit that works extremely well with ore sorting. And I'll go into the details there and why that's such a unique piece for Sky Metals, but it really makes us into a very low cost potential mining company. And all of this to meet the growing demand for tin. Quick disclaimer there. And a look at our board. We've got Norm Seckold as chairman. He's been involved in many successful companies for over 4 decades now. And most recently, he's the chairman of Nickel Industries and Alpha HBH, which are both well over $1 billion market cap companies that he's taken from, $5 to $10 million market cap companies. We've also got Richard Hill and Remus Caritis, who are founding directors of Aurelia. Here is one of the nearest mines to Tullabung, and they got that from a exploration project into a producing mine. So we've got very good people there to guide us into taking this into production, and myself, who was involved with Alkane and Evolution Mining in their successful New South Wales exploration projects. And worth pointing out as well is we've got Corkeries on board who are doing our environmental permitting process as well and making sure that that's all fast-tracked so that we can get up and producing tin as quickly as possible. And just a bit of background on tin for people unfamiliar with the market. This is looking at a graph from Macquarie Strategy Group here, looking at 3 key uses for tin in solar PV, automotives, and semiconductors. There's a lot of demand for tin because it's used ubiquitously as a solder throughout all electronics. So as we're going through AI technology and things, and we're going to need more and more electronics, we're also going to need more and more tin. So that's why you're seeing as these demands are increasing, so too is the tin price. And that's all on a very shaky foundation. The tin supply is from a lot of developing countries, and at the moment it is very uncertain. So the graph in the middle there, you can see is China's, the orange line shows China's domestic production. That hasn't increased for quite a few years now, almost a decade. So China's domestic production is not increasing. They're relying more and more on imports, and a lot of those were coming from Indonesia. Indonesia's production is down by about half this year. So more and more China is looking further afield as one of the big end users of tin. More and more they're looking for more tin supply, and they're finding that tricky. And the world obviously needs this to hold all electronics together. So it's a very vital metal with a very uncertain supply future. And that's where Sky Metals comes in as a reliable and ethical source and as one of the very few investment opportunities in tin on the ASX. This is an aerial photograph here of the Tullabung tin mine. And you can see the evidence of the large-scale mining history here. It was discovered in the 1890s and mined right up until the 1980s. So there's a very long history of mining here. And that culminated in the 1960s and 70s when they did large-scale mechanised open-pit mining of the alluvials overlying the hard rock deposit. You can see the open pits in that picture there. So on the left-hand side are all of the historic open pits. On the right-hand side is the old tailings dam and infrastructure around the mine. It's quite a significant operation. And fortunately for us, that leaves a lot of shortcuts in place for us to get this back into production quickly. So we've already got power lines to site, roads to town. We've got an old water pipeline down the Lachlan River. A lot of shortcuts for us to plug into and get back into production quickly. And most recently, around the margins of our bulk tonnage resource, we're finding higher grade areas to this system. Initially, and wrongly I'll admit, we assumed that the old timers had done a good job of finding all of the best parts of this system, but most recently we stepped out to the south and we intercepted 11 metres at over 1% tin. For people unfamiliar with tin, 1% tin is equivalent to about 3.5% copper. So very high grade intercepts with good silver and tungsten with them as well, and all shallow, open pittable. So we have very low cost mining potential here. And now we've drilled around those, we've found good continuity and we're building out these zones. So it's quite exciting for us that we have this large resource that we already thought was economic, but now we're finding better zones on the margins. And this is looking like a real upside story for us. So very exciting moment. And the real advantages that Tullabung has over other tin projects is that we have low cost mining. So we're looking at a deposit that starts from surface, it dips shallowly. So we're looking at a low strip ratio, and we're continuing to grow the resource with every drill hole. Additionally, we have this very unique facet to Tullabung, which is our ore sorting upgrade. So we can take very low grade stuff, upgrade it using ore sorting, and it's a unique factor of our deposit being ideally suited to ore sorting. Ore sorting in tin is pretty well ubiquitous as well. There's pretty much every hard rock tin mine in the world uses an ore sorter in tin. So it's just very fortunate that for our particular deposit, it's very well suited to ore sorting, and that gives us a big advantage. We then have low cost processing, which is just a simple gravity circuit to get a high payability concentrate. So it's a very simple process for us to have a very low cost operation. Currently our resource stands at 15.6 million tonnes at 0.15% tin, but that doesn't include any of the drilling from this year. And most importantly, that doesn't include any of these new high grade zones that we're discovering. And it's important for us to focus on fleshing out those high grade zones. They're obviously going to be very important for that early mining. And just to talk a little bit more about ore sorting and why it works so well for our deposit, we have very coarse cassiterite. Cassiterite is the tin mineral, and the coarseness means that the X-rays in the ore sorting machine can very easily see those cassiterite crystals. And it uses X-rays, which just like a baggage handler or an X-ray on your arm, where the bones stop more X-rays and you can see the bones. The tin minerals are denser than the rest. They can see the tin in the rock, and all the rocks that have tin, they fire off, and everything else drops off. And just from that simple process, we're taking a grade of 0.15% tin, taking it over well over 0.7% tin, which is getting towards about 2.5% copper equivalent. So getting a very high concentrate up then to downstream process. And on average, we're finding across the deposit that 5 times increase, almost 100% recovery and 80% mass rejection. And the 80% mass rejection means that our plant only has to be a fifth of the size, and our OPEX is a fifth of what it would be otherwise. So it's a huge reduction in our CapEx and OPEX for this project, which make both of those very, very, very competitive and in the lower quartile for tin mines, potentially. And looking at a more aggressive sort that we did this year with Tomra, we asked them to basically not worry about the smaller bits of tin, just target the large bits of tin. And from that, they got rid of 98% of the mass. They took our 0.1% tin head grade and took it up to 4.5% tin, which is getting towards sort of 15-20% copper. So very high grade indeed. And unfortunately with that process, we did lose about 17% of our tin. So we didn't get that 100% tin recovery, but there'll be an optimal point there. And it's showing us that this technology has a lot of potential for this project. And just to look quickly on what the XRT ore sorting machine uses. In the middle is a raw image, and then on the other side there you can see the classified XRT image. So basically the darker bits in that raw image are the tin. They've stopped more X-rays. The machine classifies those as tin, makes them blue or black on that image, and all the red rocks you can get rid of, they don't have tin, and you only keep the rocks that have blue bits in them. And already we've found some high grade areas in this deposit. So you can see a cross section here showing one of those, and you can see that if you imagine a pit shell around that, you've got a very low strip ratio, much higher grades through that area, and very important for us to potentially pay off our CapEx in months rather than years. And just a quick diagram to show our environmental permitting coinciding with our technical development of the project and looking to commence, get into feasibility studies to commence mining. Thank you very much.